Okay, here's my UFC 112 predictions. Takes place in Abu Dhabi this Saturday. First time the UFC over there in the Middle East. Just like I always do, preliminary bouts, say who wins, just who wins, and then the main bouts, talk about it. So let's get this going. Preliminary bouts, first one I got is John Madsen versus Mostapha Al-Turk. I got Madsen, Matt Veach versus Paul Kelly. I got Kelly. Paul Taylor versus John Gunderson. I got Gunderson. Osipczak versus Rick Story. I got Osipczak. DaMarques Johnson versus Brad Blackburn. I got Blackburn. And Phil Davis versus Alexander Gustafsson. I got Davis just destroying Gustafsson. So there it is. Now into the main bouts. Munoz versus Kendall Grove is the first one that I have. I think Grove had a great performance against his last fight, Jake Rochat. I think Munoz had a great performance against his last fighter, against Ryan Jensen. Let's see. I think Munoz training with Blackhouse, the Nogueira brothers, is going to help his game out tremendously, and I think it's going to show in this fight. Kendall Grove, I'm still seeing those fights against Patrick Cote and Jorge Rivera. That chin of his, it's still in question. Yes, he had great performance against Jake Rochat, but Rochat, when he got caught in that triangle, kind of sat on his ass and tapped out. If that happens to Munoz, I really don't see Munoz really just sitting there and being like, oh man, he caught me, I'm just going to tap out. I think he's going to try to power out of it. I think he's going to try to get out of it. Like I said, he's training with the Nogueira brothers, so he's definitely getting jiu-jitsu training, and I think that's what's going to help Munoz in this fight. Munoz has definitely power in both hands, and like I said before, I'm still not for sure about Grove's chin. If Kendall Grove can get past Munoz's punches and just, take him, and then he can get into the clinch, then I can definitely see Grove winning. But until Grove gets caught with one of those good punches and just takes it and just, doesn't get knocked out, I just can't see it. I'm a big Grove fan. I would like to see Kendall win, but, we might see the first Ultimate Fighter winner get cut after this fight. I would hate to see that, but I just think Munoz just has too much power. His wrestling is far superior than Grove's, and even though Grove does have the reach advantage and maybe the speed, I just think Munoz's power is just too much for Grove. So I'm going to go with Munoz, first round TKO over Kendall Grove. Next one, Terry Etim versus Rafael dos Anjos. Terry Etim, I think this is going to be a great fight. I think a lot of people don't know who these are. If they're not, I don't want to say a true MMA watcher, but people who just watch it occasionally just probably don't know who Terry Etim is or Rafael dos Anjos. People who watch it constantly know who these two fighters are, and I think can see this fight's going to be awesome. Terry Etim, tall for a 155er, very good on his feet, and he's not too shabby on the ground either. Rafael dos Anjos, I think a lot of people know him by him getting knocked out by Jeremy Stephens, but he has some skills also. So I think him getting knocked out by Jeremy Stephens with that brutal uppercut kind of gave him a bad rap, but I truly think dos Anjos has a great heart and he has some true skills. Terry Etim, I think, is just too slick, though. I think he's going to use his reach. I think dos Anjos wants to see it to the ground. I think he wants to do some ground and pound. But if he does get it to the ground, I also think Terry Etim could catch him in a submission. But I think dos Anjos is too skilled. I think he's not going to get caught. I don't see him getting Etim to the ground, and I see Terry Etim just picking him apart all 3 rounds to a unanimous decision. So I like dos Anjos, but Terry Etim, unanimous decision over Rafael dos Anjos. Next one, Matt Hughes versus Renzo Gracie. A lot of people are picking Hughes in this fight. Both, I guess you could say, are kind of old. I guess I call it MMA years. People who fought, in MMA a long time. They might be like in their late 30s, but they fought, in MMA a long time. They both have done that. Hughes' last fight was against Sarah. Gracie's last fight, I think, was in 2007. I forgot who he fought. But I do think Hughes is far past his prime. I think he's way too much past his prime. He's not his old wrestler who that he was known for his ground and pound. He can still do it, but I don't think he can do it as superior and as skilled as he was back in the days. So Renzo Gracie, he can still submit people off his back. I would have to give the advantage on the feet to Gracie, If Matt Hughes, I think it's in the first round, he's gonna figure, he's gonna stand with Gracie, and I think he's gonna figure out, Renzo has some stand-up skills. He's gonna want to take this to the ground. I don't see it getting stopped in the first, but I do see it getting stopped in the second. I think Matt Hughes does get Renzo to the ground, and Renzo does get off the submission. I think Matt Hughes is just, he doesn't have the skills that he had. He has them, but he's just too slow now. And I think once Renzo gets an arm, I think Matt Hughes is not going to be able to figure it out quick enough to get the arm out, and I think Renzo finishes off with an armbar. So I'm going to go with Renzo Gracie, second round submission over Matt Hughes, but I could see Hughes winning decision, but I'm going to go with Gracie. Next fight for the UFC Lightweight Championship, BJ Penn versus Frankie Edgar. I'm not going to give Edgar a no shot in this fight. He has a shot. One, because BJ Penn's past losses have been against great wrestlers. But, there's a but, Frankie Edgar is a small 155er, and BJ Penn has trouble with legitimate 170-pound wrestlers. Matt Hughes, George St. Pierre, those are legitimate 170-pound wrestlers who can take BJ Penn down and just keep him there. I think Frankie Edgar is way too small for BJ Penn. I'm not going to say BJ runs right through him, but I do see BJ Penn just owning him. I think it's going to be on the feet. Edgar has improved his stand-up, but I think BJ Penn's stand was just way too much. As Freddie Roach said in the past, he thinks BJ Penn is the best boxer in MMA, and I agree. I think BJ is the best boxer in MMA too. And I think he's going to show it in this fight. I think, I'm going to say, first 2 rounds, he tries to get BJ down, and it just doesn't work out. I think in the 3rd round, I think BJ's going to take Edgar down, and I think he's going to get one of his infamous rear naked chokes. So, I do give a slight advantage to Edgar just because he's a wrestler, but I think he's just too small for BJ. I think BJ moves up to 170. So, BJ Penn, 3rd round submission over Frankie Edgar. Now to the main event for the UFC Middleweight Championship, Anderson Silva versus Demian Maia. I think this fight can go 2 ways. It could go, I hate to say it, because Demian Maia is a much better grappler than Talis Leitis, but it could go that way. It could go to a 5-round decision where we're all thinking, and, Anderson Silva kind of does that backing away, just keeps it away, doesn't finish the fight. Or we could see the Anderson Silva that fought Forrest Griffin and just destroy Maia. Maia has a great shot in this fight. I truly think that, like I said, I think he's a better grappler than Talis Leitis. And I think he's a much better grappler against Travis Lutter, which that fight happened a long, long time ago. And Anderson Silva, when he fought Travis Lutter, had a bunch of knee problems. So I really can't put that fight into this prediction because, one, Anderson Silva wasn't 100% with his bad knees. And Travis Lutter Demian Maia is just a better grappler. So, but I do say if Demian Maia does get in reach, in clinch range, I do see maybe Demian Maia pulling guard, see what Anderson Silva is all about, and truly we'll see how Demian Maia is off his back. We all know he's a great jiu-jitsu guy, but I don't see this going to the ground. I don't see Demian Maia even getting close to Anderson Silva, and I think Anderson Silva uses his reach, just picks him apart. On my little sheet here, I have by TKO or by unanimous decision, because if it does go to decision, I do think it's going to be a repeat of him fighting Talis Leitis. But like I said, I think Demian Maia is going to be more aggressive than Leitis, and I just think he's going to get caught. So I'm going to go with Anderson Silva, 2nd round TKO over Demian Maia, but I could definitely see Demian Maia getting this, but Silva's just too skilled. So once again, through the main bouts, I have Mark Munoz, 1st round TKO over Kendall Grove, Terry Etim, unanimous decision over Rafael Dos Anjos, Renzo Gracie, 2nd round submission over Matt Hughes, BJ Penn, 3rd round submission over Frankie Edgar, and Anderson Silva, 2nd round TKO over Demian Maia. So there's my predictions. We'll see how I do, but that's it. Adios. I'm out. See you later.